Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com. When all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for Overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.
Welcome, everybody, to Wager Talk Today. I am Lawrence Presman. That man is Teddy Covers. And yes, I shaved. I woke up Sunday morning. I was like, man, I had such a bad NFL Thursday, Monday, and Sunday. I got to do something different. Cleaned the face and went 8-1. 8-1, Teddy! You won your 5%. Way to go. We got a great show lined up. Who are our guests, my friend?
Well, we're going to have Meghan Payton to open up the show. She's going to give us a couple of Jalen Hurts props for tonight. We're also going to talk a little Brian Robinson, Monday Night Football, Eagles and Commanders. Megan's going to break that down for us right at the top of the show. Then we have some bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books. And then we'll bring in Bryan Leonard. Brian's going to talk about Las Vegas and Denver in NFL action, as well as Dallas and Minnesota, two preview games for next Sunday. Then Marco D'Angelo is going to come in. He's going to talk tonight's Monday Night Football as well as college football for next Saturday, Texas and Kansas. So loaded show. My big game breakdown is going to talk NBA. Obviously, Prez, you have a presidential address at the end of the show. Who knows what you'll talk about there, but it is a loaded Monday edition of Wager Talk Today.
That it is. I know your bad beat segment, we're going to discuss the Chargers game, your 5% play. I lost my mind watching it. What a crazy day all around. That Minnesota game was insane. It affected a teaser that Marco had. So many things to go through. But first, let's bring in Meghan Payton. And how are you, Meghan? How was your weekend?
Hey guys, it was good. I felt like we finally redeemed a little bit of our Sunday bets from last couple weeks. The Minnesota Bills game was just absolutely phenomenal. You know, people say it's not till football doesn't start till after Thanksgiving. It's starting now, and you're getting that cold weather, Lambeau Field action. So things are good over here.
Nice. You've got 3 prop bets for us. Go through them all, and then if Teddy wants to ask a follow-up, permission granted.
We've got 3 prop bets for Eagles versus Commanders. On Jalen Hurts over 1.5 passing touchdowns. We can finally say it. Jalen Hurts is one of the most elite passers in the NFL. He's an MVP candidate. For years, we're talking about Jalen Hurts as a player that can move on his feet. He can run. Guess what? He can throw the ball too. He's got elite arm strength. He's able to make outstanding throws outside the pocket on the run. And we're seeing how dominant Jalen Hurts can be in this Eagles offense. They've got him the weapons that he needs with wide receiver A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, tight end Dallas Goedert. And guess what? Jalen Hurts has hit over 1.5 passing touchdowns the last 3 weeks, at least 2 the last 3 weeks. And when they played the Commanders in week 3, Hurts had 3 passing touchdowns. I like over 1.5 passing touchdowns for Hurts. I have another Hurts prop. It's going to be under 43.5 rushing yards. We know Hurts can move on his feet. He's very fast, but he's not going to need to. As we just said, he's throwing the ball, so he doesn't have to rely as much on the run game. And yet the Commanders right now are doing a good job on run defense, specifically with Jalen Hurts. They held him to just 20 rushing yards in week 3. I like this to be a more pass-heavy game. I'm going to take the under on 43.5 rushing yards for Hurts. Last prop bet I have is running back Brian Robinson over 33.5 rushing yards. Robinson's a strong guy. He's physical. He's well built, great size. This is what the Commanders loved when drafting him in the 3rd round. and he's going to be good today because what are the Commanders going to do? They're going to run the ball because the Eagles are a top 3 defense. The one aspect they're struggling in is in the run defense. Brian Robinson has hit over this number 3 of the 5 games he played. We didn't see Robinson in week 3 against the Eagles due to that terrible gunshot accident that happened on accident, and therefore he was injured. I like Robinson to have a big day tonight. I'm taking over 33.5 rushing yards.
Over 33.5 rushing yards for Brian Robinson, the Commanders running back. Megan, let's talk about Jalen Hurts for a few minutes, because you said that Hurts over the last 3 weeks, he's thrown 8 touchdown passes, and he has. He's been great against Houston, Pittsburgh, and Dallas over the last 3 ball games. But prior to that, he hadn't thrown a touchdown in 3 different games and had 1 touchdown pass in the other. So it's not like it's been consistent all season. He's been chucking the football in the end zone. And it's not like Philadelphia is a team that can't run the football. When you look at these over touchdown props, the numbers, 1.5 is the standard number, shall we say, in the betting markets for this. Do you ever look, is it a season-long stats? Is it a current form? What is it about Hurts tonight that makes you think it's going to be the recent form as opposed to the full season type of numbers?
Teddy, it's because of who he's playing. What's the matchup? The matchup is the Commanders, and the Commanders right now are 12th in run defense. And specifically, the Commanders have done a good job at shutting Jalen Hurts out in the run game. That's why we only see 20 rushing yards from Hurts whenever he played against the Commanders in week 3. And we know he can pass the ball. We know he's got those weapons to do so. This is a game where when I'm looking at passing touchdowns, I'm looking more at matchup. And to me, this is going to be the Eagles relying on the pass game more than the run game. And I think it's going to be somewhat of a shutout early on. Therefore, we might not see Jalen Hurts running as much. You don't want to get your star quarterback injured in a game that you've probably already won.
Meghan Payton, everyone. Outstanding stuff, man. Every Monday right here, Meghan Payton. And, of course, she's on the NFL Presidential Address. Over 10,000 of you guys watched and listened to that show this past week. Hopefully you bet all the information on that show, because I know the guy who gave that information out, and he freaking killed it. Meghan, where can people hear you? What's going on? What new shows do you have?
Well, first, Prez, congrats on an awesome Sunday. Prez Address is always so much fun. So, yes, that is always on Wednesdays. We shoot that. It is on WagerTalk.com. We're doing some fun additional videos, primetime previews, plus money picks. Everything is on YouTube at WagerTalk. And you can also download the WagerTalk TV app, which is extremely user-friendly, and you can find all the videos there. But I appreciate you guys having me on every Monday. Love talking player props with you.
Awesome. Meghan Payton, everybody. And Teddy, we got to talk about the app. We're not going to do it now, but I got to remember to push the app. Push the app. Push our TikTok channel. I liked your TikTok this past week. You're getting very sneaky with the air fryer starting it off. Very, very good stuff, dude. Some nice clickbait going on. Look at the old man with the new terms.
Yeah, the one thing that I've learned about TikTok, and I don't remember, I think it was you taught me this, Prez.
I did.
Whatever you do, just don't have the camera on yourself right when you start. Anything but you.
Well, no.
They'll like it more.
Anything but you if you're you and me. If you're not you and me, and especially Marco, then you could have, like handsome Dan, our producer, he could have a shot on his face. It's just, who wants to watch old guys? Teddy, I can't wait for your bad beat segment, bad bets. I got stuff to add at the end of it, so let's get right into it right now.
Sounds like a plan. Let's do a little 6Bs, bad beats, bad bets, and bad for the books. A recap of what just happened this past weekend, and there was some insanity. Let's start on Saturday with a couple of bad beats that were pretty ugly. Michigan State, they're -9.5, they're -10 against Rutgers. And they're up 13. It's the final drive. It's garbage time. There's less than a minute to play. The Scarlet Knights are 4th and 29. 4th and 29. And, of course, they throw the jump ball to the end zone for the touchdown. And Rutgers loses by only 6. Brutal beat if you had Michigan State. in that ball game. Washington State -10 against Arizona State. This wasn't a beat. This was a brutal push. You're up 28-0 at halftime in the cold, in the rain, against a team from the desert. And what happened? Washington State still 3rd and 1 inside the 3. They got stopped on 3rd and 1. They got stopped on 4th and 1. And then Arizona State down the field at the end. 28-0 becomes 28-18. No cover for Cougars backers. That was no fun. And of course, we got to talk about the Buffalo Bills yesterday. If you had the best of the number with Buffalo, if you had Buffalo on a teaser, if you had Buffalo on the money line, that was brutal. They're up 27-10. They're cruising. It's -3, -3.5 throughout the week. Gets bet up when Josh Allen's going to play, but the Bills get the 4th down stop. They lead by 4. The Vikings have no timeouts. All you have to do is get the ball out of the end zone without fumbling. Oops. And they lose an OT as well. That was tough for Bills backers, whoever you had them. And, of course, we have to talk about the 49ers last night, -7, bet up to -8. The Chargers shut out after halftime. They had only 2 first downs. The offense flat out didn't work after the break. They had a touchdown the opening drive. They never scored another one. But Brandon Ayuk drops an easy touchdown pass in the end zone. You had a missed extra point after the final touchdown, which made it a 3-point lead, not 4, which made all the difference. And, of course, the Chargers get the punt down at the 1-yard line. They go 4 and out. San Fran's got enough time to punch it in. 1st and goal, 2nd and goal, 3rd and goal. The Chargers haul them to the field goal with a tough stop on 3rd and goal. Niners win by only 6. That was tough if you had San Fran on the other side. And I'm in a good mood today. And, of course, who else do we have for bad beats? Let's see. The Lions hadn't won on the road in 2 years. The Bears led by 2 touchdowns in the 4th. Fields was unstoppable, but he threw a pick 6. Oops. All of a sudden, things got real dicey after that. And Bears defense couldn't hold them. Tough if you had Chicago. The Jaguars, they were +3 in turnovers. They recovered an onside kick. And they missed 2 field goals. +9.5. They lose by 10. When it comes to bad bets, look, they've been betting against TCU every week. Every week someone comes on the show and says bet against TCU. They lose against TCU every week. Texas got bet up to -7.5. They lose outright. The Horned Frogs D steps up 17-10 final. They bet Missouri at Tennessee, thinking the Vols were going to be flat. The Vols weren't flat. Tigers gave them a game for a while, but then you look up and you see a 66 burger on the scoreboard for Tennessee. The Missouri money, that was a bad bet. Bet UCLA up -19.5, -20 against Arizona. The Blue Ones were flat as a pancake and lose outright to the Arizona Wildcats. That was a bad bet. They bet the Rams in a battle of backup quarterbacks, -2.5 to -3.5. The Rams lose outright by double digits. They bet the Browns +5.5 down as low as +3. Miami's offense is special. We'll talk about that on the opening line report, 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern, right here on WagerTalk TV. And, of course, it was all 49ers money last night, -7 to -8. Yeah, it is a bad beat. We got to call it as a bad bet as well. San Fran as healthy as they've been all year, but L.A. hangs on for the cover. San Fran only wins by 6. Bad for the books. Wasn't that bad for the books this week? If there were a couple. No one's betting Stanford on Saturday. Utah -21.5 up to -24.5 and higher. The Cardinal got the first touchdown. They never scored again. 42-7 final. Utah, bad result for the house. Florida State starting to get a betting bandwagon. -5 up to -7, -7.5 at Syracuse. They won that game 38-3. The Seminoles bad for the books. And, of course, we had a middle with LSU Arkansas. The Tigers opened -1. They closed -5. No Jefferson for Arkansas. Boom, lands right in the middle. A 3-point win. Speaking of middles, middle in the NFL yesterday. That's rarely good for the house. The Giants-Texans total opened 38. Closed 41, 41.5. Lands right on 40. That's, again, when you're cashing over bets and cashing under bets on the same game, that's usually poor for the house. And, of course, one more bad for the books yesterday in the NFL. It was all Colts money. Nobody wanted to lay -6 with the Raiders. Nobody wanted to lay -5 with the Raiders. Nobody wanted to lay much with the Raiders. The Colts went straight up. That, too, a bad result for the house. Some bad beats, some bad bets, some bad results for the books. There's your recap of the weekend. Now, let's look at the coming week. Mr. Prez, back to you, my friend.
When did you just make that end? Let's look at the coming week. No, we're going to still continue this conversation. So, guys, Teddy had a 5% play up last night on the Chargers. I had a play up on the Chargers as well. So they did not throw a red flag to dispute that punt that nobody had a clue what was going on except one of the officials, Mike Pereira or whoever it was, who literally just said, it's a touchback. What did you do? I mean, I was losing my freaking mind. I was like, if they don't get one first down, we're done. And you had an incredible risk going on in that game. What went on in your mind?
Panic, fear, all the things that go on in your mind when things go wrong in a football game with, inside of 2 minutes or whatever, however much time was left at that point. It was a sweat and a half, Prez. There's no joy in my life. I couldn't watch the 49ers they had 3 runs from inside from the 8-yard line, and I couldn't watch. I didn't watch. And it worked out fine. All's well that ends well.
Teddy, a lot of guys in the chat room are asking. Yeah, it's insane. A lot of guys in the chat room are saying, well, what about the Houston Texans kicking that field goal at the end there? What did you think of that? Didn't affect the point spread. Well, it would have if they scored the touchdown. Yeah.
That's the only reason why that's in there. Or not in there.
But yeah, so there you go, guys. That's why Teddy is not discussing it. Okay, dude, so I had an 8-1 day in NFL football. I got a play up tonight. It's $9. I'm also killing it in NHL. I mean, destroying the NHL. I got a play up for you. It's $9. And I'm murdering the NBA. Dude, I am freaking rolling, man. And I got 2 NBA plays up for you. What do you have going, my brother?
One thing you never have to wonder is whether Prez won or lost yesterday when he comes on the show.
Yes.
You can hear it in the chat before we come on. On a day if Prez lost the previous night and not a word. If Prez had a big day, blah, 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 blah. The goal, my goal, is to try to stay even keel. You try not to go up too high.
Teddy,
try not to go down.
There is nothing even keel
and
about
you're the opposite of that.
Dude,
you are as mercurial as it comes.
If you defined me with one word, and I know handsome would come to mind, but put that word aside, it would be extreme. And that's where I live. I live on the extremes. Now, I asked you what you have to sell for your clients. You didn't want to discuss it, so bugger you. Marco D'Angelo, come on in. You're the next contestant.
My clients tonight.
Oh, now you want to discuss it. So
I was going there, but you happened to cut me off before I was able to.
Yeah. I cut you off while you dissed the Prez. Okay, what do you got
continue
tonight?
To diss the Prez. So the one word, if someone asked me one word that I would use to describe you, I'm trying to decide between sophomoric and moronic, and I can't decide between the two. So,
well, wait a minute.
But the bottom line is what I have going tonight is I have a single play locked and loaded for NBA. I got a second one available too as a free play. We'll talk about that later on the show. And we're also in action for Thursday night football in a game where I think the line is likely to move. So you can get NBA and NFL $9 on $9 Monday. Marco, welcome to the program, my friend.
I'm just glad to be here.
So what's going on, Marco? How's your new kitchen doing?
It is complete. We'll be back to normal. 2 weeks of sheer hell here at the Marco household, but it is done and ready to roll.
Yeah, so Schmidt Happens thinks the word to describe me is cantankerous. I mean, it's a nice word, but I'm not going there. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Marco, you want to take a shot? Bryan Leonard
there is
sitting
a beer
in the wings, writing
that I
down.
thought was named after you, Arrogant Bastard. Did you ever have that beer?
That's 2 words, not one, and I'll take it.
All right, so you can pick whichever one you want.
I'm good with Arrogant Bastard. Okay, brother, Washington playing Philadelphia tonight. Plus 11 for the Skins. You want to discuss the side. Where do we go here?
Well, if the producer, Dan, does not shut my mic off for the following breakdown, I'm going against Philadelphia here. And, you know, it's hard to knock anything that the Eagles have done. They're 8-0. But let's be honest. The 72 Dolphins aren't panicking yet with the undefeated season. And the reason being is of the 8-0 record, Philadelphia has played a grand total of 2 teams with a winning record. Those 2 teams happen to be the Minnesota Vikings. Yeah, they're 8-1. That looks great. They beat them. That was in week 2. And that was also week 2, the week right after Minnesota opened the season with a blockbuster win over the Green Bay Packers. Now, at the time, we didn't know the Packers were going to struggle the way they did. But for Minnesota and their new head coach in his debut, that was a monster win. It also happened to be on Monday Night Football, which Kirk Cousins doesn't have a great record on primetime games. And he did as usual in that game. Through 3 interceptions, was just 27 of 46 in the loss. So I just, poo-pooed all over that win. Now the other win against the winning team was against the Cowboys, and that was the last game that Cooper Rush started. Granted, it was a nice story while Cooper Rush was in there, but there's a reason he's a backup and not a starter, and it showed in the Philadelphia game as he had a poor performance, throwing for 3 interceptions as well. Tonight, they face a division rival, Washington. Now, you're going to say, but Washington's another team without a winning record. Yeah, but they're playing much better right now, and it happened whenever they made the quarterback switch. I've never been a fan of Carson Wentz, and finally it took them enough weeks to pull the plug on him and go with Taylor Heinicke. He has won 3 of his 4 starts, and he gave Minnesota a big scare last week in their last game, only losing by 3. I'm going to go ahead and look for Washington to keep this game close tonight. Coming into the Monday night division game, they lost at home earlier in the season, and as I said, that game was with Carson Wentz. I look for them to division matchup, keep it tight. I'm going to go ahead with them. And another stat that Philadelphia has benefited from, you could say, hey, it's good defense, or is it a little bit lucky bounce of the balls? They are plus 14 in turnovers this season with a 17-3 edge in turnovers. 8 games in, they only have 3 turnovers. You can't expect that to continue. Everything has gone their way. Give me Washington plus the points.
So, as a follow-up,
I love when you say so.
Yeah. Well, dude, I mean, you literally spoke for half an hour.
I think it's an interesting topic of discussion. When a team has the best turnover ratio in the league, like the Eagles do, the betting markets in the NFL tend to expect the teams with the positive turnover differentials, everything reverts back to the mean. They never expect, all right, this team's winning the turnover battle every week. That's going to continue indefinitely. And yet, teams with good quarterbacks and good defenses tend to win the turnover battle. They can win the turnover battle game after game all year. What Washington has not been a positive turnover differential team this year, and they have a quarterback, certainly from an effort standpoint. We like Heinicke. All right, the team responds to him better than they responded to Carson Wentz, no question. But if you're ranking out NFL starting quarterbacks, if Heinicke's not 32, he's no better than 30. And he throws picks, and this is the defense that creates plays. Does that concern you here? Because it concerns the heck out of me. That's why I'm not on Washington today, because I think they're going to lose the turnover battle tonight.
Well, obviously, when you're looking at the quality of the 2 teams, Philadelphia definitely does have the better numbers. And the one thing about going to why a lot of professional bettors look for, the reverse, come back to the means with the turnovers is interceptions I put on the defense and on poor quarterback play. And I don't have the split, so I'm not going to quote it here because I don't have how many of those turnovers were interceptions versus fumbles. But let's be honest. Most fumbles, once the fumble occurs, you can be a good defense and punch the ball out to get the fumble. But once the ball hits the ground, generally it's 50-50 who's going to land on the football. That's where I think that they think the luck factor has a tendency to come back to the middle. But you're right when it comes to the interceptions. That's poor quarterback play and good defensive play. I'll give you that.
Marco
And Philly
D'Angelo,
is second in the NFL in interceptions behind only Buffalo.
Okay.
And, of course, the Bills have game in hand over the Eagles. 12 interceptions, 6 fumble recoveries for Philadelphia this season.
Oh, that's a lot. Marco, you got a promo up or no? What's going on?
Yes, I do.
Yes, you do.
It got lost in the shuffle of all of your promos that you ran off.
I didn't give out a promo for me, Marco, but thank you for allowing me to mention that I went 8-1 yesterday in the NFL, 12-5 in my NHL side bets on the year. Thank you, Marco. Nice, brilliant. $9 Monday, just buy me. Go ahead, Marco.
We got a $9 hockey play up tonight. And guys, we've had a really good run with hockey going back to last year. Actually, since late December last year, we're the number 2 NHL handicapper at WagerTalk in profit. And you can pick up my play tonight. We have it available for just $9. We hit a 4% play last night in hockey. And I'm not high volume, guys. If you're looking for high volume, that's not me. Generally 1 to 3 plays per day. I subscribe to the quality, not quantity approach, but you can pick up that play tonight for $9 over at WagerTalk.
And that's how he likes his women too. Quality, not quantity. Marco, I love the beard, dude. Are you going to grow it like heavy?
It's standing out a little more because there's more gray in it than usual. But yeah, I'm getting ready for Christmas. I always play Santa Claus for the grandkids.
Nice. Saturday, college football, Texas and Kansas. You like the total? It is at 64. How are you betting this game?
There's only one way for me to bet this total, and that is to look at this game over the total. And guys, you've got both teams are 6-4 and really nothing to play for. They are both bowl eligible. Neither one can win the Big 12. So it's a meaningless type game. And I haven't, for as long as I've been doing this, when you get to the end of seasons when you got 1 or 2 games left, whether it's football or basketball, if I got 2 teams that I feel have nothing to play for, there's only one way that I'm going to look at the total, and that is over. Teams don't play. It takes more energy to play defense because that's a reaction to the offense, and I like this one to go over for several reasons. One, you got Texas coming off a monster game last week in which they lost. If you would have told me prior to the game that Texas would have held TCU to 17 points, how much do you want to bet in that game? I currently would be living in a cardboard box because there's no way I would have thought they would have lost the game, but they did. TCU played a great defensive game. They played the game of the year for them. Everybody, as you said, including myself, keeps wanting to step in front of TCU, and it's not worked out. But now this week, there's no way Texas has that kind of intensity. And I look at this team prior to TCU holding Texas to 10 points. Texas had scored 34 or more points in 7 of the previous 9 games. I bring that up because Kansas, after starting the season 5-0, are in a 1-4 slide. And in that 5-game slide, they've given up 184 points, or if you want to do the math, that's 37 points per game. I see a track meet in this game. I think Kansas will be the more motivated team here because it's Kansas and they got a chance to beat Texas. I see both teams going up and down the field. I'm going to go ahead and take the over 64. I'm projecting 72 or more points in this game. Winning team is going to get into the 40s.
Well, let's see. Last year was 57-56, an overtime thriller that Kansas won. The year before, 50-48. That was 2019. The previous meeting was 50-48. So certainly the recent series history is very much in favor of the over here. But look, Texas offense didn't work against TCU. Under 200 total yards. for the full game, just 10 points. And that's not the first time we've seen that Longhorns offense absolutely crash and burn this season. And Texas, four of their last 6 games, they've held their opponent to 21 or less. I see the Longhorns as a pretty strong under team, much like we like Kansas as an over team. Are you worried at all about Texas's good defense / bad offense?
As I said at the beginning of my breakdown, they have nothing to play for, Teddy. Are they going to come to play after the build-up from that TCU game last week and losing? Where is the motivation for this game? Yeah. And let's face it, Sarkisian is not the sharpest knife in the drawer as far as head coaches go. I don't see this team playing with that defensive intensity.
Marco D'Angelo, everyone. Okay, Marco, you've promoted. You've given us your picks. We've got to look at your handsomeness for 10 minutes. Please leave.
Okay, bye.
Quick commercial break, everyone. And Bryan Leonard next. Hit that like button, please, everybody.
Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, when all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for Overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.
It is time for today's big game breakdown. Let's go to the association for a Monday night. It's a good matchup, really. The Hawks and the Bucks. Right now, looking at the WagerTalk live odds screen, I'm seeing Milwaukee -4, total 225.5 / 226. And it looks like Giannis is going to be back in the lineup for Milwaukee for tonight. But Jrue Holiday is not. And that, to me, is what I want to talk about here. Look, the Hawks beat the Bucks in Atlanta last week. They held Milwaukee to 98 points. It was a stellar defensive effort. That same defense not on display in Philadelphia on Saturday. And Nate McMillan not amused after the ballgame. Quote, "We never established defense. The first 3 quarters, they came out and put up 37, then 30, then 32. You're not going to get into a flow when you aren't getting any stops." So clearly, Atlanta has a defensive game plan against Milwaukee. And again, these teams have met in the playoffs. They know each other well. So the Hawks have a game plan against Milwaukee. And B, we can expect improved and increased defensive intensity tonight. The Bucks are playing without Jrue Holiday, and it's shown in their offensive flow, or lack thereof. They were held under 100 points twice in their last 3 games. They're coming off a 93-point effort against San Antonio. It's hard to score only 93 against the Spurs, right? San Antonio wants to play fast. They don't play a whole lot of defense. When you're scoring 93 in that game, it tells us about pace and it tells us about offensive efficiency. And, of course, in that 93-point effort at San Antonio, Milwaukee cashed their 6th under in their last 7 ball games. In the process, that is an under-the-radar trend worth riding tonight. 226, 225.5, too high. Look for the Hawks and Bucks to play a relatively low-scoring affair in this one that stays under the total. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
Teddy, before we bring Bryan in, first off, guys, I've got 3 plays to give out in the daily presidential address. We need 18 more likes. Teddy, I had Jake Ellinger under passing yards yesterday. It was one of my prop bets. So technically I went 9-1 because it went under. Here is this pissed me off, frankly, and I want to talk to Art about it on Wednesday. Jake Ellinger did not play, but he didn't throw over in the yards. Why is that a nullified bet? If you're the sports book, do your own damn research. You put the play up, we bet it, it went under, it's a winner. It's total BS. that you didn't do the research enough to know that he wasn't playing. What are your thoughts on that, Theodore?
Well, first, the player's name is Sam Ellinger,
Sam.
not Jake. I have no idea who Jake Ellinger is.
Who is Jake Ellinger?
So,
where did I get that?
I have no
messed
idea,
up.
but Sam Ellinger, we knew him from Texas. You're paying attention to college
Yes,
football. He's
I
been
know,
around
I
for the
know.
last- Yes. Okay. So that's the first issue, is to rip you for not knowing the guy's name, who you're talking
Right.
about. The second issue is that's the way props are graded. If a guy doesn't see the field, there's no action. So if you want to complain about sportsbook rules, knock yourself out. But that's the rules. It's your job to know what the rules are before you make the bet.
I did know the rules.
If the guy doesn't play, that's the rule. If you want to find a sportsbook with different rules, good luck finding a sportsbook with different rules. Go shop around and see what sportsbook's going to play you for props.
Oh my God,
guys
dude.
that don't pay.
Dude, what you're saying is so American. It's like, you know, it's so typically American. It's like you bring up something, you're like, oh, I don't think, just randomly, I don't think guns should be allowed. And then your response would be, well, it's in the Constitution. We're not discussing what the rules are. We're discussing whether the rules are right or wrong. I know the rules. I knew the bet was going to be a no play. I'm just saying it's total BS. Bryan Leonard, everybody. Anything to add to that?
I just got back from Florida the last 2 weeks. I survived my first hurricane, and yet there's been more hot air on this show than I got in Florida for 2 weeks.
Are you warm?
I'm getting warm.
Okay, nice haircut, nice shave.
Thank you.
When was the last time I saw you without a goatee?
I think it's been like 7 years or so.
It's unbelievable. I mean, it's like you're a whole different person. Handsome as all hell, Bry.
He was waiting for that one word for me to describe him. Is why he said that.
Okay, dude, let's go. Vegas, Denver. NFL Sunday. What do you like in this game? It looks like a total. It is 42.
It's interesting. I spent half my life in Cleveland, half my life in Vegas, and now both my teams suck and they're out of the playoffs. These two met earlier in Las Vegas. Denver wins that game 32-23. They had Vegas, despite losing, had 13 more first downs than the Raiders did in that game. But since that time, this Vegas team cannot move the chains. In 5 games, they're minus 24 in first downs. And keep in mind the teams that they played against defensively: the Chiefs, the Texans, the Saints, the Jaguars, and the Colts. Only one of those teams are top 10 defensively in yards per game, and that's the Colts. And they played them with a coach that's never coached before. In Denver's defense, number 2 in the league in defensive yards. They're very good. So this Vegas defense, Vegas offense will not have the same success they did earlier. In fact, that 32 points that Vegas scored was the most they've scored all season. The 23 for Denver is the most that Denver has scored all season. And this total is 42. There's a reason for that. It's a situation for myself where only one other time did Denver score more than 16 points. They scored 23 in one game, and that was it. This Denver defense has held every opponent than Vegas to under 19 points or less. The first matchup was a high-scoring affair, didn't deserve to be. This game will be a low-scoring affair. Neither team can protect their quarterbacks. If you watched Denver yesterday, you saw that quarterback running everywhere. Wilson reminded me back in Wisconsin days when he's doing the runs at quarterback. I had Denver points over yesterday. Was my only play in the NFL.
Yeah.
The reason being is Denver players, Denver coaches talked about speeding up the play calls. They were going to take more chances. They were going to go earlier in the count. And of course, in the first quarter, one of their 3 best receivers gets hurt, and they get back to their normal selves the rest of the game. These two teams have, at least in my mind, currently the 2 worst coaches in the NFL, even worse than the guy who has 1 career win. I want neither part of these offenses. I look for this game to go under the total. The Raiders could put pressure on Denver, and this Vegas team offensively is just falling off the cliff.
I mean, the Raiders have scored 32, 29, 38. They had the no-show against New Orleans, but then 20 and 20 the last couple of weeks. It's not like this offense hasn't worked. And Denver, look, they were awful early against Tennessee. But you watch them in the second half. They moved the football. They struggled in the red zone. Russell Wilson, after the game, we should have won this game. We had chances. I feel like the Raiders' offense is kind of underrated right now, and the Broncos' offense is poised to break out at some point. Obviously, the money's coming on the under already. The 42s are gone. We're looking at 41.5s. Are the Raiders an under team for you? Because it sounds like, I mean, Denver's been an under team all year, but I haven't looked at the Raiders team as an under team yet this season. Is that your mentality with Vegas right now?
Well, they're not an under team because I don't believe in their defense as much. But that offense is not the same. And you talked about the points they've scored. They scored a lot of points against teams that don't play very good defense. This Denver team at number 2 in yards per game is far better than anybody they played. And like I said, in that first game, they moved the ball. They moved the chains. 13 more first downs than Denver had, and they still lost by 9. Vegas doesn't have that ability right now to move the chains on a consistent basis. Last week, they were without 2 of their best receivers. The running game has been good this season. But overall, I much prefer a team that runs the football on an under than I would on an over.
Bryan Leonard joining us, everyone. Bryan, we love having you, man. We're going to talk one more NFL game. Before that, I want to point out that Bryan has a 5% play up today. It is for the Wednesday action. He is on an 11-3 college football run. This play is only $9. And it's sponsored by Harry's Razors. So make sure to head over and grab that play. Dude, you want to talk Dallas, Minnesota, which is a fascinating game. You know, I look at it right off the bat, and I think bad spot for Minnie, good spot for Dallas, yet it was Dallas -2, and now there are -1s everywhere. How are we betting this one, my friend?
I've been looking to fade Minnesota, and there can't be a better time to do so. You take a look at defensive ranks on the season. The Cowboys are ranked 11th in yards permitted per game. The Vikings 29th. The Vikings 29th defensively, and yet they're taking money right here. I don't believe it. I took Minnesota at the beginning of the season as a long shot to win the NFC. That's worked out great. Problem is, they're not one of the better teams in the NFC. They're not one of the better teams in the NFL overall. Minnesota's only loss of the year came to Philadelphia. They've run off 7 straight victories, including the win on Sunday against Buffalo, the team everybody thinks is a Super Bowl favorite. That was a huge win for Minnesota. It's one of those show me games, prove me games that Marco likes to talk about. Now they're fat and happy, and they take on a Cowboys team off of a tough overtime loss yesterday. It's a situation for myself where Dallas had that game locked up. They fell apart late against a Green Bay team who has not been good all season long. They're getting a little bit healthier for Green Bay, but they should not have won that game against Dallas. So we got Minnesota off of a prove me game on a season in which they have not played a lot of tough competition. Dallas is the better team here. Dallas, I like them at -2. I like them even better at -1. And to head back to the last game, Teddy, you talked about Denver. They scored 10 points in the first half of that game. 7 of it was on a bomb. It was a great play, but other than that, they didn't do anything. And then when the second half started, they didn't do anything in the second half either. So I'm not ready to buy into this Denver offense.
Bryan's not ready to buy into the Denver offense, but we are most assuredly ready to buy into Bryan Leonard. Bryan Leonard, what do we have going that you want to promote for $9 Monday?
Well, I'm on 3 shows today, so the plays are going to go up a little bit later today. I do have that 5% going, and it's a MAC game. I'm a 1985 graduate from Akron University. I've had a lot of success in MAC football over the years. In fact, I'm undefeated in these weekday games for the MAC. And that $9 play goes on Wednesday. And once again, it'll go back to the regular $35 price on tonight at midnight.
Yeah. So Bryan, with a rare 5% selection in Maction for Wednesday, get it today for only $9. Thank you so much for joining us, Brian. Now, Lawrence, I believe it's time for your presidential address.
It is. Okay, guys, I got 3 bets for you tonight. I do want to tell you what's on tap as well. It is $9 Mondays at WagerTalk. Everybody's play, only $9. I'm on an 8-1 and 40 and 24 NFL run. I'm up double-digit profits on the season. I have 1 NFL bet tonight. It's $9. In hockey, I am absolutely killing it. 19 and 12 on the hockey season. And I am 12 and 5 in 4% NHL plays on the year. I have a 4% play up tonight. It's $9. And in NBA, I am 63% on the season. I have 2 NBA plays, and they come with a bonus 4 college basketball plays. Okay, let's get into it. I like the Hurricanes tonight, -1.5. That's the Carolina Hurricanes, -1.5. They're playing the Chicago Blackhawks. It's a really good spot to bet the Canes. I also like under the total in the New York Islanders-Ottawa game. I would never normally take Ottawa under, especially given that it's a 6. But I think we'll see a New York Islander-style pace to this game. I think it's a 3-1 hockey game. Take the under. And I like the Milwaukee Bucks -4. That's it, Teddy. You got the opening line address coming up, my brother. Take us home.
I most certainly do not have any opening line address coming up. I have the opening line report coming up at the top of the hour. Your presidential address is a whole different thing, Lawrence. But that's going to wrap it for Wager Talk today on a Monday. We'll do it again tomorrow. Same time, same channel, 9 a.m. here on the left coast, noon for you back east. Stay tuned. Top of the hour, myself and Drew Martin will be doing the NFL opening line report. Enjoy the games tonight, and good luck with your bets.
Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, when all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for Overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.